Okay, episode 4. Work joyfully and peacefully, knowing that right thoughts and right efforts inevitably bring about right results. James Allen. That comes from a book. It's one of my top 3 books that I would recommend, and it's one of the ones that I think about probably every day. There's so much in that book. It's a small book. It might take you an hour or 45 minutes to read it or so. And so I read a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie a long time ago when I was in my teens or so. And one thing that Dale Carnegie said at the beginning of that book was, when you're reading this book, highlight along and the parts that stand out to you that are the most helpful, highlight those parts. So that way you can come back through this book and just review it like once a month and hit the highlights. So read it thoroughly once and then like just go through it, like it'd be like a little summary type if you just went through it and looked at the parts you highlighted from your first time through. So excuse me, the reason that I bring that up is that I tried doing that with other books and with As a Man Thinketh. And I would highlight, and with As a Man Thinketh by James Allen, where this quote came from, I found that I was highlighting everything the whole way through. Like I could not pick out parts of that book that were better and stood out. Like it was all just so good. Everything was pertinent. So I highly recommend that book. And so it's something I think about to be happy about what I'm doing and have joy and hope and optimism for the future, knowing that my thoughts and my efforts, my actions are correct. And I'm consciously always analyzing my behavior second by second. Am I doing the right thing right now that's going to result in the best future for myself and others? And you do need times regularly to sit back and look at the big picture of how is my day going. So it's kind of like a constant low grade effort that I'm just trying to keep myself on track and not beat myself up if my thoughts go in a way that I don't want them to, because your mind, it's not something you can just grab a hold of and like try to just manhandle into doing what you want. And they tell you that with meditation, where if you're just going to try and like aggressively force yourself to relax and do what needs to be done, it's like this gets into some deep stuff that I've thought about. It's like your mind is like a horse. So you want to be nice to it and like encourage it and coax it into wanting to do what you want to do. And that actually comes too from the book How to Win Friends and Influence People. Is the only way you can get somebody to do something is to make them want to do it. And it's like that with yourself too. So you need to so yeah, I mean, I don't try and really force people to do things. I like to really talk with people and find out what they want in their life that they think is going to make it better, and then listen to them and help them come up with a plan on how they can achieve it, and maybe give them some different angles that I see that like things that might be helpful that maybe they missed, maybe they never thought about. But you know, so if you're doing that with other people, is if you really thought somebody needed to quit a bad habit or whatever, or with yourself, you're like, I really need to start doing this. You need to make it so that you want to do it, right? And it's just that is kind of with thinking about your goals, like where do you want to end up in life in the future? And, you know, I'm going into real deep stuff with this that I didn't plan on, but it's like, so I can be happy knowing that I'm doing the right things, even if they may seem mundane, tiresome, boring, as long as I am confident that my plan is solid and that those thoughts and efforts are going to bring about the results that I want. And you can usually tell if what you're doing is going to get you to where you want to be. One thing one of my running coaches told me is that it's important to believe in your training. Like you want to, of course, pick the scientifically proven through looking at a variety of approaches. Like look at all your options and then like figure like what is the best way for me to train myself and live my life and to have my efforts be what is going to have me end up at my goal. And I like what he said with that because with my coach, where he was like, you really have to believe in your training. And he said it almost doesn't matter if you have it perfect, anyways, just as long as you know it's good and you like it. Now, I like to optimize and really, I figure if I'm going to be putting forth the time and the effort on something, that I want to pick what the experts have proven to be the best way to go about achieving my goal through trial, error, studying the results, looking at the data. And that's why at the end of my last talk, when I was telling you about Dr. Peter Attia and how he had really delved into the research and data and studies done all around by other experts in the field of exercise and increasing your VO2 max, that it was that protocol I told you about where it's 3 to 4 hours a week of zone 2 cardio and 1 or 2 zone 5 workouts. Trying to get your heart rate up to 90+% of your max for as much of time as you can. And yeah, it's just, I mean, I do that today. I just did my hour zone 2, and it's cool because I keep checking every once in a while to make sure they haven't found a new, better way of accomplishing that. But I'm confident that right now it's like I'm all right. I'm doing the right thing, the kind of best proven way of getting myself to get my VO2 max as high as it can be. So I think it's a pretty smart way. It's like there's a really good book called The Book of Elon. It's about Elon Musk. This guy wrote a book about him, and he studied Elon like extensively, like thousands of hours of studying what Elon Musk is like and how he lives his life. And I think I did mention this in another podcast, but it's just like I like Elon's approach, his like 5-step process to basically just tackling a problem or just trying to achieve an objective. And I want to review it a little more before I tell you guys the in and outs of it. But it's a flexible protocol, like kind of program he uses to kind of re-engineer things and just make sure that his systems are going the best that they can go in his company and with his endeavors of trying to make, we'll say, the best electric car he can. So it'll make you happy knowing that you are you doing the right, like having the right thoughts, like conditioning your mind patiently, and actually implementing the best efforts to get yourself where you want to be. Like that in of itself just makes me happy that that's happiness. Like Brian Tracy would say, is happiness is the progressive realization of a worthy goal or a worthy ideal. So when you can see yourself making your way along that path, chipping away step by step, foot by foot of your race, whatever if it's a mile long, and you see yourself getting closer to where you want to be. I mean, that is like kind of like, one of the biggest things in life that makes me feel good about what I'm doing here on this earth. Now, should I push or should I pivot? Tony Robbins. Now, the other talk I did, episode 3, I referenced him and his push power and pull power concept, and I kind of had it a little bit wrong, but I was trying to apply it to something else, and it still kind of holds true here. So what his whole thing with the pull power and push power thing is that to him, push power is when you're just trying to like make yourself do things. It's just like that kind of dogged, like grit and grip it type, just like let me just go at this, like I'm not wanting to do it, but I'm just going to push myself. I have to do it. I'm being forced to do it. I have to go to work. I have to get this thing done. And you're kind of just really just like, kind of fighting those negative emotions and all, and just like, I'm just going to make myself do it no matter how I feel. And there's a limit to that. It's kind of like your willpower. There's only so much of that you can do. And if you're always in that mode of, I'm just gonna make myself do this. I have to, and all that. It wears out and it wears on you after a while, and you're not going to be the happiest person. Just always kind of having it where you feel like what you're doing is just like an arduous chore type of thing, and it's grueling. So that's push power. You have that, and you're going to need to use that sometimes, where it's just like, all right, I just got to do this. I don't feel like it. But then there is pull power, and pull power is where you have realized that there is something outside of you that is pulling you to do the thing that you want to do. I mentioned the guys building a cathedral the other day, and it was the story of one guy just thought he was laying bricks. Another guy felt like he was just doing his day's work that needed to be done, and it was honorable, and he was supporting his family. Pretty good. And then the third guy laying the bricks, all three of them are just laying bricks. Third guy was like, I'm building a cathedral that other people can come to and worship and have great times, and for the next 1,000 years they can go in there and just be jolly and joyous with their other fellow human beings, and I can bring my family there. And it's like, well, that right there, that is pull power. Like what that last third guy was saying was, it was like his purpose and his meaning and his reasons for doing what he was doing. And when he would wake up in the morning, like imagine how he would feel. Like, I'm getting up to go build this cathedral that's going to make the world a better place for everyone. That's pull power. So maybe the first guy, it's like, I just have to go lay bricks. Like I have to do it today. And, it's not a very happy way to live. I don't think you're going to put forth your greatest effort doing that. And so we all have to, we get to work, which is one thing I think about is I have cool jobs right now. Like I get to go to work and do these cool things and have these experiences helping people and learning and growing myself. So, you know, with these podcasts here, it's like this is one of my pull power things. Is like I'm like by doing these and by using what I have in my head and what I've learned from my life experiences to help other people, if I have a student at work or anybody who like needs help, and maybe I have something in my head, some knowledge, wisdom that I can offer to them, and it unlocks what they need to do, helps them come to a realization. And I really try my darndest to be really accurate with what I'm advising, or just thrown out there. Like with what I'm doing here with these podcasts, I'm not trying to come across like a know-it-all and like I have it all figured out or anything. It's like I've mentioned this before, how I didn't have enough wise people reach out to me and offer me up really good, rock solid, helpful advice. And I could explain, like, my grandpa was a quiet guy. He'd been through a lot. And I think that was one of the things, like, to me, it was one of his big personality traits. And I knew him as an old man, so he was kind of tired and he had a lot of stuff probably hurting him from wearing his body out, being a firefighter and carpenter. But I wish he had talked more. So he was pretty good, and I knew that he really cared about me and loved me. Now, there have been people, throughout my life. I'm not saying, like, woe is me or anything, but it's kind of like, I mean, I think I was a pretty receptive fellow, and I was told that by my paramedic preceptor, that I was very receptive. Like if I could tell that somebody cared about me and was really trying to help me out, that I would listen, and I'd be like, man, I really gotta like process what this person is saying. And that's what I've been telling you, is I think a real big key to life is do everything you can when you're talking with somebody, when you're interacting with somebody, to just figure out, like, does this person have my best interest in mind? Just to know that you're gonna have to be around people and interact with people that don't. Yeah, I mean that's been a big part of my life, and it's like the thing of, have you only learned great lessons from those who have ushered you along and have smiled at you and been helpful and encouraging, and were easy on you and lighthearted, and just like in a happy type, wanting to be around you and help you out type of way, helped you? Like, are those the only people you've learned great lessons from? And the answer for me is no, not at all. There is a lot to be learned from negative examples. So there's people that I think about, situations I've been in, and I think I don't want to be anything like how that person was towards me. Like, I learned a lot, and it gets kind of complicated because it's like you learn from those people and those situations, and they're going to be out there, and you kind of need them as challenges throughout life. Otherwise, you get soft and everything's easy, and life is not fun. Like Dostoevsky said, if everybody just had it easy and all we had to do was sit in warm springs and eat cakes, that like we figured out all of life's problems and we made it where everything was all secure and safe. After about a week of that, and who knows, maybe AI is going to, the robots will be doing all the work for us, and AI will have solved all our major problems. Not, we're still going to have our challenges. So, but it could make things a lot better. And if you imagined a utopian type future like that, that after about a week of everything being pretty perfect like that, like people, a good amount of them would just get bored, and somebody would set something on fire and somebody would break something, and somebody would cause drama with somebody just so that something interesting could happen and there'd be a dilemma. And I've known people like that. It's like the Big Brother shows where they would just take one of my patients explained it this way, and it was just funny the way he put it. He's like, I guess I never watched these shows like the Kardashians and or yeah, Big Brother, where they would take a bunch of celebrities, they'd select them, and they put them in a house together, and they'd see if they got along. And of course, they didn't want everything to be perfect because they wanted to, part of it you learn. People go working through problems and what works and how they interact. But I think overall, it's just important to have most of the people in your life like pretty hell bent on making it so things are going to work out for you as good as possible. Like they really are with you to the end. Like going to do everything they can to achieve that with you. Um, so have your pulls, have your things, your bigger things bigger than you that pull you along. Like you wake up in the morning, like you know, I'm doing this with my life, and it's gonna live on beyond me, and I'm part of it, and I want to grow and develop and become as big a contributor towards that as I can. All right. In the Matrix, Trinity says to Neo, "You've been down that road, Neo. So you know that road. You know exactly where it ends, and I know that's not where you want to be." That was a scene. Not to go back, but it's they had taken Neo, and he was in a car with the people who had gotten out of the Matrix, and they were taking him to Morpheus so he could take the red or the blue pill. They were like, "Hey Neo, do you want to take the pill? You want to find out, And he's like, "Yeah, I'll go talk to this guy Morpheus." And it was the thing of if he took the red pill, he would find out what the world was really like. And if he took the blue pill, he would be able to just keep living his life the way that he'd been living it. I don't want to do like you know, destroy the ending or anything, or what do they call that, where, you know, spoiler alert type of thing. But Neo was thinking about getting out of the car and not being taken to go see Morpheus to at that get a choice on even exiting the reality that he was in, that he thought was real and the way things were. And it wasn't a good reality currently for him. Um, but he knew it and it was familiar. And he was thinking about just getting out of the car and saying, I'm just gonna go down that street back to my apartment and just keep living the way that I have been living. Not happy, just humdrum type of thing. And that's what it was that trying to do this thing real good justice is Trinity said to him, Neo, you know what that road is and where it leads to, and you know that is not where you want to be. And I think about that a lot of when we try to go down a familiar path, just that we're comfortable with, or a habit that we're just used to doing over and over again, even though it's not the best for us. And when I find myself doing that, where I'm like, I just kind of, automatically, just habitually, just kind of go start whatever it is, doing something, wasting time, or, eating something I shouldn't or drinking something I shouldn't, more caffeine, whatever it is. And it's like I stop myself and I'm like, listen, I've done that before. Like I don't drink alcohol. It's just it doesn't. It's not, I've never really been able to say it's ultimately been a thing that has helped to make my life better consistently. It's something that I stay away from. And if I were to think about going somewhere to drink, a bar, and I'm like, Doug, you've been down that road before. I've drank enough times in my life to know what the experience is, and sometimes it's not bad, but it's like I know the road it leads to. Like I wake up the next day, I don't feel as energetic usually, and it can get to be a habit where you overdo it. So I'm like, I've been down that road before. I know where it leads, and I know that's not where I want to be. So when you confront something that you are afraid of, it's not that the thing you thought was scary becomes less scary. It's that you find out that there is more to you than you thought there was. Jordan Peterson. That's really cool because the more you do that, the more you grow and the more you find out about yourself that was there that you didn't know was there. And it's like fear is a mile wide and an inch deep. So that's from Alex Hormozy. And I like that thing of also Alex Hormozy said how we need to be reminded more than we need to be taught. There's some truth to that. It's not entirely true, but it's the thing of you've conquered great things in your past and you've had times in your life where you were really on it. I would say most people have had those experiences in school or athletics training. And if you remember that you were that way, like you are a capable person that can get through very hard things and be disciplined, and how it felt along the way, that you were proud of yourself for really just taking ownership of your life and doing what needed to be done, and that you ultimately knew was going to be the stuff that was going to create the future and the future version of yourself that you wanted. So that's where I say it's just you need to go at things like prepare well, but at a certain point you just need to throw yourself into the thing and just start hacking away at it. And we teach our kids that hopefully, and yeah, it's an art. It's an art to living life. It's like it's that whole thing of like you're gonna be in there, like in the weeds. So being in the weeds is like being in the thick of the battle. And like Chris Williamson said, is that he knew that he was going to win in the weeds. It was going to be a struggle. And the way I interpret that is like World War II, landing on Normandy Beach, and then fighting inland, like the hedgerows that those guys had to fight through and the forests and all. And it's like it wasn't an easy path. This was not like easy terrain, right? It was like they had to just like stumble along and get caught on weeds and vegetation as they're being shot at and explosions are going on around them. But they kept going, like they're slipping in mud, having to get back up. Like it was not like, just like a smooth, like carefree, you know, type of walk. They were stumbling along, and but they made progress, and they just kept, plowing through. So you're going to be there, and then you do have to lift your head up every once in a while to check yourself and make sure, like, kind of big picture type of thing, like, am I heading the right way where I want to go? So, again, it's not me lecturing here or anything. It's not like I think I have all this stuff figured out. It's just like, it's kind of like, it's stuff I knew back when I was younger in high school, when I saw, like, okay, how did I get through this hard class? How did I get through this season and get myself to the point that I could run a sub 5 minute mile? And yeah, that day to day, step by step process. But next one I'll go at is, I can't see a way through, said the boy. Can you see your next step? Yes, just take that, said the horse. Charles Mackesy, The Boy, the Mouse, the Fox, and the Horse. So that comes from a book by that title. There's a boy, a mole, a fox, and a horse who all became friends. And there's a book, and they made a movie about it, but it's just that thing of, they were letting the boy lead the group of four through a forest. And the boy, he learned a lot from his friends, throughout. There's this whole thing was like a bonding experience where they were unlikely friends that learned from each other, and obviously being such different creatures, they had different backgrounds and different experiences they had gone through, and different ways of looking at the world and life. So they were letting the boy lead a walk through the forest, and the boy couldn't see through. It was thick trees and everything was dark, and he's like, he didn't know what to do. He was thinking, should I just stop and stand here? And like, I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. And that's when the horse said to him, can you see your next step? And the boy looked, he was like, yeah, I can see my next step. So the horse said, just take that then. Just take that then. Like, the boy, he saw it was a clear step. It was going to advance him through the forest, and in a way that was getting them along their path where they wanted to go. So I think a lot of life is like that. Like, you won't see the whole path, but what is the next appropriate action, like what's the next right thing to do, and to be at peace with that. It's been said in a variety of ways. I've heard, like, you don't have to see the whole staircase, you just have to see your next step. And that gives me some peace. It's like, go as far as you can see, and then you will be able to see farther. So, like, physically traveling, we'll say, along, you're going for a hike, it's like, you go to where you see a hill. Like, I'm going to go to that hill. That's east. I want to go east, get to the top of the hill and get up there, and I'll be able to see further. I can't see past the hill right now, but I'm on top of it. I'll be able to see. And another story that Brian Tracy says is he wanted to cross the Sahara Desert, and it was a while ago. He's like 80 now. So what they did, like, for people to get through the Sahara, is people who had done it before and wanted to make a good route, so other people following them afterwards didn't just end up going in circles and die of dehydration in the desert, is at the starting point, they put a oil barrel, a black oil, I think it was black, probably, stood out in the horizon and in the sun and all that. So at the trailhead, the beginning of the starting point through the Sahara, they put a black oil barrel, and then they placed the next oil barrel along the route, far enough out, however far it was, a football field out, 300 yards out, where you could see it, but with the horizon, the way the earth is shaped, that if you put the oil barrel too far away, like, people wouldn't be able to see, because it would dip below the curve of the earth and they wouldn't see the top of the oil barrel. So it was enough that you could see maybe the top half of the next oil barrel, however far out. I don't know how far out, but whatever that would be. And you could see it. You could see enough of that next oil barrel that you could get to it. Like you walk to it. Oh, there's the next oil barrel. I got to this. I got to the next one. And then when you hit that next oil barrel, you could see the next oil barrel. Maybe again only the top half because curve of the earth and all that. But he's like, I didn't need to see all those oil barrels like ahead. I have to see every single one along the whole hundreds of miles distance across the Sahara. I just needed to see the next one, and that's what he could see. And he went along and walked and made his way across the Sahara, just going one oil barrel at a time. So if you keep that in mind, it can give you some peace in life. Have you realized that most of unhappiness in life is due to the fact that you are listening to yourself instead of talking to yourself? Martyn Lloyd-Jones. So that one is cool. We all have a voice inside of our heads. And I like that quote because it reminds me that I can control, not completely control, but I have the ability to control this to a very high degree what I'm saying, like, to myself. And like you could just audibly do it, like, like Doug, you're gonna do this now. And people with their thoughts, like if you're listening to yourself, it's harder to try and just listen because you'll have thoughts that kind of seem like they come out of nowhere. And you don't have to pay attention to everything you think. But through different conditioning, some people have more positive and more negative thoughts than others. And rather than just letting the thoughts be what they're going to be, it's kind of like what James Allen said. That was the first quote we had. He said that man's mind is like a garden. If it's just left alone, like if you just left bare dirt alone, stuff's going to grow there, whether you do anything or not. Now, if you're not cultivating and caring for that patch of dirt garden, weeds will grow, right? And you don't want them, they just appeared. And that's what I'm getting at with how if you're just listening to yourself, you're going to have thoughts come up like negative, a decent amount of them. Those would be the weeds. And a good way to plant things that you want, like flowers, those would be good thoughts, is to talk to yourself. And it doesn't have to be audible, like audibly out loud spoken, but that quote just helped me realize, like, to do that in my head more of whatever it is, working out, work I use as examples a lot, or my administrative aspects of my life when I have to study or pay bills or whatever task I have to do. It's like I talk to myself and I go, Doug, you can do this. You know what this is like. It's just going to require you to take action, get yourself in the chair and focus on the material and don't get distracted. And let's do all your healthy things that help you get through it. Like try to enter a flow state. And there's a book written by this guy, Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. And I don't know the exact title, but it's the psychological state of flow. And I knew this when I was younger. I experienced it first on my own. I didn't know what it was. And then I heard it mentioned in psychology courses that I took. And that it's like what I talked about in the prior talk of how the start of an activity is usually the hardest part. So if you can just get yourself, maybe you have to use some of your push power and go, I'm just going to start going through the steps, the motions physically to get myself beginning, studying, we'll say. I'm going to sit down at the desk and I have everything laid out that I need, and I'm going to start along and get yourself through the first 10 seconds, first minute, first 5 minutes, first 10 minutes. And no matter how you're feeling, you just keep doing it. Now it's funny because we have to kind of remind ourselves every day that is how it goes. Like it's like every day, for the most part, you kind of have a reset of how you feel about doing those hard things, beginning with even waking up in the morning. People talk about that a lot, of how it's hard to get up in the morning, and you got your pull power, your whys to help you get going, right? And you have your push power, like I'm just getting myself out of bed and I'm gonna go silence that alarm clock and start heading to the kitchen to make my morning drink of healthy stuff. And we all do that, and it kind of ties into your habits and everything. Of that's what I do on my days off from work is I wake up and I do those things I need to do, like have my energy drink, but I put on my workout clothes and I go right to the gym. Like that's just my off day habit. It's like I know the first thing I'm gonna do in the morning once I get myself together, and I don't get distracted getting myself together. It's really just a pretty streamlined, just get my workout clothes on, get my morning nourishment, and then I go right to the gym and I do my cardiovascular workout and I go through my whole workout protocol. And a big part of life is that. And I think it's important that you don't forget that as long as you're doing those things, like I get a lot of, while I'm doing those things, my workout activities, or when I'm at work or something, I'm like, it's just like, I'm like, I have this pull that I'm like, I'm not doing the right thing right now. But then I have to remind myself, I'm like, you are. This is your time to do this activity. You're doing exactly what you need to be doing right now, Doug. And it's going to bring you to the place in the future where you want to end up. So I was talking about entering flow, and flow is just that point in the activity where you kind of forget you're even doing it, and you're immersed and happy and engaged to be doing it, kind of sort of like it's like you're just so entrenched, like in a healthy way, in trying to accomplish the task. The book Halo, they turned into a mini series actually, which is really good. And the Spartans had a thing. Oh gosh, I have so many things to explain to you about my little references here, but the Spartans in Halo were futuristic Marines. So Marine Corps, Marine Corps Marines. That's what they were. And it was like 100 years in the future, like 2100 or so. I'm not getting it totally right, but futuristic. They had like exoskeleton, like kind of like Iron Man type suits, but they had a concept that they talked about where they were good at what they did. They were good Marines, and when they would go into battle, they were so proficient at combat that time seemed to slow down. Like they could get more done in a period of time than they thought that they could. You know what I mean? It's like time seemed to expand to allow them to get more stuff done. Like they were so proficient. And I think we've all been there where you're kind of like at the edge of your capabilities and you're really pushing, whatever it might be. Running is a thing that comes to mind for me. Some people might be typing, like they're trying to increase their words per minute, typing, whatever it is, you're trying to get something done. And you're so concentrated and putting so much of yourself fully into it that you don't even know how much time, like you're like just focusing on achieving the goal and accomplishing the activity as best you can. And it doesn't have to be like a real tense state like that where you're like on edge, like, oh, I got it. It's like, it can be like a artist, musician playing, but he's really just giving it his all, like playing his violin, whatever it is. And it's a really healthy state for us to be in. It's you're doing something that you care about, and maybe you enjoy, or it took you that initial period of getting, acclimated to it to start enjoying it. But whatever it may be, if it's an activity that you like and it only takes you a real short amount of time to just like enter into that almost like meditative happy state of like, I just want to do the very best I can at this, or if it was working out or a job and it takes you a little bit like to get going, but you notice after like an hour you're like, hey, I just want to really put all of myself into this flow. It's huge, and it's something that you want to try and spend, I would say, a good amount of your life in that state. You're very present when you're there, and you really just feel happiness and satisfaction in what you're doing. So that's living life. Like, that's being just immersed in life and living it with all your heart and to your fullest. So flow, good. I try and get myself into flow as much as I can. And awe, AWE, is also good to have an appropriate amount of it. It's when you're just so like struck and just like, to use words that really convey it, it's just like you're so taken with the thing that you are experiencing that you get out of your head and you forget about yourself. So if you were to come across the Grand Canyon and just like your jaw half drops and you're like, wow, type thing. And there's some people that I know in my life that I really enjoy. And when I see them living their life in a very beautiful way, I enter into awe where I'm like, wow, that is just awesome. Like seeing them live life fully and in a way that is making people happy and improving things around them. And I like stop thinking about myself and I'm focused entirely on like them, and that is a healthy state. And having your life with things like that in it that you are putting and bringing into your life, like conditions and environments where you enter awe. And same thing for flow. Try and have a job you like. It's very difficult to be good at something you don't enjoy and see that it's purposeful. So that I was talking about talking to yourself and instead of listening to yourself. So just a good way to direct your life. And it's just as simple as I like myself. I like myself. Like I'm saying to myself, I like myself. I'm doing a good job. I'm doing the best I can. I'm a hardworking, focused, caring person. I have skills. I've maybe done this before. I'm proficient at it. I'm confident in it. I'm gonna achieve this. I'm gonna knock this out. I'm gonna do this cardio workout, and I'm gonna be in the zone that I want to, or it's gonna be like, one of my top ones, like all this stuff. Like I'm gonna like apply my best effort at what I'm putting my heart into at this moment, type of thing. And that's just, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I constantly try and give myself that encouragement. It's like the quote of, my whole life, I kept waiting for someone to come along to encourage me, to motivate me, to be behind me, telling me to do the things that I need to do, and keep, you know, just like kind of watching out for me and like cheering for me and like, this is what you need to do. You're doing a good job. Like, get this done. And that person never came along. So I just became that person for myself. That's you talking to yourself. And you'll hear me talk a lot about that. And if you can bring people like that into your life where you have that support, that's great. I have entered into a lot of periods in life, including even now, where I don't have much of that. And I've learned to become okay with that. And I understand that that happens. And I want to create a future where I do have supportive people around me that would give me more to live for and more of that pull power that I was telling you about. But it's cool because I've learned that I don't need that even. Like, I don't need it to always be there. Like, if I'm not feeling happy, I really don't like it. Like, I genuinely don't like it a whole lot if people try to tell me things are going to be okay. I don't want to have and become dependent on reassurance from others. Like, you're going to do a good job. You're going to be fine. Come on, Doug. Like, you got, like, it's kind of nice to a degree, but the thing I'm getting at is I need that to come from me, from inside of me. So I'm the one who is telling myself that I will do what needs to be done and I will be happier in the future, maybe even a few hours from now, and that I'm capable and that I can do this. Like, I think it's just like a thing of coming from you, you can rely on it more, that it's going to be there. You don't know if there's going to be positive, supportive, encouraging people around you all the time. You might be in the lion's den, and I've been there many times where it was just negative people around me. And if I were relying on the happy, motivational thoughts and words to come from those people, it wasn't going to. It was going to be the opposite. So it had to come from within me. So I've developed that and cultivated that, and I mean, I could go on and on about that, of like, the most important relationship you will ever have is the one that you have with yourself. Some people will say God too, but that is cool. That's great. Um, about the whole religion thing and having a good relationship with God. So we'll kind of dog ear that page. But other than that, you are always going to be around yourself. So it's very important that you have a good relationship with yourself. It's very hard to be happy if you're around somebody that is being mean to you all the time. So that's why you should say nice things to yourself. Um, that person, I'm saying, is that if it's you being mean to yourself, like saying mean things, having mean thoughts and negative thoughts, it's hard to live under that and be happy. So one thing that I think it was either Aristotle or Plato, said is the first and greatest victory is to conquer yourself. Now, something you're going to notice me do is that I will take things that some admirable, smart people that I respect have said, quotes from them, and I will kind of twist it. I will alter it, change it, and I'm not trying to be at all disrespectful towards them and say, oh, I can make it better. But I think that's actually a good thing to do because it means you've analyzed what they said and you've made it your own. And I always will tell you that I have paraphrased it or kind of changed things up from what they said. So you know that I'm not trying to warp what the brilliant person said. I mean, I really appreciate that they had that great thought and that great quote, and maybe it was pretty much just about perfect. And I don't change it, but if I feel the need, like I'm like, hey, there's this or that need to kind of change to make it more applicable to me, I will do that. And there's a quote from Aristotle or Plato where he said that the first and greatest victory is to conquer yourself. I would change one thing and say it's to learn to cooperate with yourself, not conquer yourself. I don't think it's the most beneficial way to look at it, to view it as conquering yourself, to have that adversarial type mindset about it. That's not, you know, going to result in good feelings and long-term success and happiness if you're like, I'm going to conquer and beat myself down. So you're going to have these tendencies, like I told you. You will have thoughts that kind of came out of nowhere. Maybe you'll wake up in the morning and you're like, I'm just not feeling like the best today. And that's what I'm getting at is that's where you cooperate with yourself. You go, hey, I'm having one of these days. Not feeling quite the best, but I've been here before. I know I can make it through the day. I know that I will take the steps starting now, step by step, to move through this day successfully in the way that I want. And that there will be good days that, in contrast, will make it so that I appreciate those good days even more because I know what it was like. And I know that I was able to make it through and do what I needed to on those days that weren't the best. So you don't become confident by shouting affirmations in the mirror, but by having a stack of undeniable proof that you are who you say you are. Outwork your self-doubt. Alex Hormozi. So I think it's thought of that a lot of self-help, self-improvement type advice and books is that people are told they should kind of just look in the mirror and say nice things about themselves. And I know I was kind of doing that with that other quote where I said how you make sure you're talking to yourself and not just listening to yourself. Because then you can take control of it. Like I can talk and say, like, direct the way that my mind is thinking and what's going in, you know. But Hormozi says that it's not that you just do that and like you don't believe what you're saying. You have to have a stack of undeniable proof that you are who you say you are. And those are things you've done, actions you've taken that you can point to and say to yourself and others, look, I did this. Like, this is proof of my capabilities. It's a good thing to have. And you get that through living and applying your best effort to things. Like things you're gonna be proud of. Like it's like the stack of undeniable proof. It's a degree that you got. It's the I almost have 5 degrees, 5 associate's degrees. Okay. Here, my stack of undeniable proof. I told you I ran a 4:58 mile when I was 18. I can take pain. I can do hard things. That's one. That's on my stack. Boom. My degrees. Boom, boom, boom. Stack's getting higher, right? Like hard situations I've been in as a firefighter paramedic. It's like I've dealt with, like I can, like if the more tangible you can make it and like you think on those things, like I did this hard thing before and I have a whole stack of all these very difficult challenges, a variety of them. I think all of us have that. We've been through things. And it helps you to be able to say that whatever this next upcoming challenge is, I have it in me and I have the capability to master this thing and make my way through it in a graceful, beautiful way. Like I'm gonna go to nursing school and I'm not cocky, I'm not like, oh, I've been through this type of thing. But it's like I went through paramedic school, like the hardest one in the country. And my life was that. It was like that and my working out and sleep. And it was like, that's all I did for 10 months. So I know that I can get through a very challenging program academically. And that's one of the things in my stack of proof that let me know that the next thing coming up, I can hammer away at it. And, you develop that stack by chipping away at that big scary thing, like going that inch into the fear that looked a mile wide. And you get in there and you're like, fear is a mile wide and an inch deep. It's like once you get immersed in the challenge, you might a lot of times be like, hey, like I got a better idea of what this thing is. And it's not as bad, or who knows, maybe it is, but it's like I think you get a better perspective just getting yourself in there and fighting away than just standing back and at a distance, you know, in fear and trembling, like what is that big amorphous is like a formless thing. So I'm just encouraging you, you know, if something scares you, not always, but if it's something you want, like it seems like a good thing but it's scary, move towards it and just get a better look at it and talk with people who know about it. And I'm not trying to be like all over the place with the concepts and the things that I'm explaining here. It's just I'm thinking of so many different variety of challenges and situations, and I don't know exactly what yours is going to be, but I'm trying to make it kind of broad so you can have it be applicable and extrapolate my experiences onto whatever it is that you're specifically dealing with. So I know that it's going to be helpful for me to get into my particular things in my life that I have had to overcome and develop into what I wanted it to turn out to be. And like that has been some of the most helpful advice done right that I have gotten from other people. Viktor Frankl, so he was in the Holocaust. I've never been in the Holocaust, anything nearly that bad, but that was his big particular situation that he tells us about in his book, Man's Search for Meaning, about how the hell he just got through it second by second and took everything he could from the experience, you know? Like, and I keep going back to the thing of it's not just get through it. Of course, the Holocaust, he was just trying to get through it. But I think he realized, he was a psychiatrist, that it's like, I'm going through this. And he didn't know how long it was going to be. But it's like every second, I need to take everything I can from this experience and use it to make myself and other people in the world as best as they can be. So I'm gonna tell you about my own little particular challenges and not get too wordy about it, but it's with the intent that you can go, okay, Doug was hurt in this particular way. He got a really bad physical injury. And maybe you never really had that. So you would instead be able to go, whatever your thing is, here's my particular emotionally painful problem. And there was a guy, when they were exploring the Antarctic, it was like in the 1800s or so when they were first going down there and looking at the Antarctic, and he accidentally got left behind. So he's got a tent and some basic supplies, but like either the ship or the helicopters all took off and they had to leave. It was getting cold. It was going to be winter time in the Antarctic, and I don't know what he was doing, but they didn't notice that they left the poor guy there, and he just saw him just take off. He's like, hey. And then he realized, crap, I'm here alone and I have to make it through the 6-month winter in the Arctic, and nobody can come back. Like, it's too cold, the weather conditions are too bad. Like, that's why they left. Like, it was kind of like in a hurry. Like, all right, this is our last day. We can be here where it's safe and okay for us to be here. And he was like, all right, I'm going to be here for 6 months. They can't come back till then. And he didn't want to freak out. It wouldn't have done any good, right? So he developed a routine day by day and like a weekly routine. And he one thing you do is that when you develop a routine in life is you schedule in your free time and your fun time and things you want to do. But you have structure to it. You know, maybe it's like every Friday night you do something you want to do, and it's kind of like I have this 5 hours, or every Sunday I do something with the family, whatever it is. So he did that. You know, he had his scheduled, like, he kept track of, all right, today's Monday. Monday, I get up 8 a.m., whatever it is, 6 a.m. with the sunrise, with dawn, and I go have my morning coffee that I'm rationing out so it'll last, and I go chop firewood for an hour because I'm gonna eat firewood later, and then I go check the traps for small animals that I set up, and then I do some stretching, and then it's time for lunch. So he had his day organized, and it was all purposeful, meaningful activities. And he said that being able to take control of his time like that gave him such peace, because he knew what to do with himself for the day and the week and month, and he knew that it was the right things that he needed to be doing at that time. Like, he thought about what's everything I could be doing first thing in the morning, and like, let's whittle it down to what makes the most sense and the most beneficial. And so he had faith, as I talked about earlier. I'm trying, all this stuff kind of connects. That's what I'm trying to do, like all these quotes and all. for this to have a common theme throughout this whole podcast. It's all about just kind of trying to live the life that you want and that you're happy living. But I like that how he's like, it gave me such peace to be able to take control of my time like that. I got to choose, I had a choice, and direct my life and my days the way I wanted to lead myself through that winter and try to enjoy it. I'm sure he had some great sunrises. Maybe he saw some animals interacting in a way or some beautiful nature that made it where he's like, hey, this is kind of cool right now. Like there's some good stuff around me. And he made it through. He made it through that 6-month winter. And they came back and they found him and they were like, holy smokes, dude, how did you survive? And that's what he said. He's like, I was like, I'm here. This is where I'm going to be. I don't have a choice on that, but I can choose what I do with my time and I can choose my mindset. Like Viktor Frankl said, is that the last of the human freedoms is man's ability to choose his thoughts and his attitude regardless of circumstance. Like everything else could be taken away from a man. He could be stripped naked, all his possessions destroyed, but the one thing you can't do to him is change how he thinks about what's going on around him and how he can influence it, and the thoughts that he's having about how he can influence his conditions and the world around him and himself, like how he can still make his mind become what he wants it to be. That's what As a Man Thinketh is all about, is you can choose your thoughts. So there's just great power in that, and I just really like that whole thing. It's like I'm trying to have this really make sense, but it's like I referenced Elon Musk and Viktor Frankl and the poor guy stuck in the Antarctic, and I just really find it helpful, and I admire and I'm proud of those guys for realizing that great power that they had of, I get to choose. I get to choose what I'm going to do right now. Like Tony Robbins said, you're always making 3 decisions. What do I focus on? What does it mean? And what am I going to do about it? What am I going to do? So, Viktor Frankl in the Holocaust, the poor guy in the Antarctic, Elon Musk I got a car I'm trying to make more efficient. And it's like, what are you going to focus on? You have this problem, you have this dilemma, you have this thing you're trying to make better. You get to choose, like what do you focus on regarding that issue? So the man in the Antarctic stranded, what do I focus on? Is he going to focus on, oh, these guys left me here, this is terrible, and the whole thing? Or is he going to focus on, hey, I still have my tent, I still have my hatchet, I got 6 months, but I can choose what I do day by day, and the whole, I can structure it and all this. Are you going to focus on that, like what you can do to make the situation better? And focus on what you can do. So you're focusing, what am I focusing on? The good parts, right? And what does it mean? That's the second step of like what Tony Robbins was saying. It's like it could mean I have this challenge that has been presented before me for me to figure out and try to overcome. And that's going to make me better and stronger. And it's going to be one heck of a success story once I finish it and I'm telling people about, hey, look what I went through and how I did it. And here I can tell you like what I did day by day, step by step to get through that. Like it'd be a great, as they say, suffer story. And that's like a big part, I think, about having lived a fulfilled life is that along the way, at the end of it, you could say to yourself and others, like, hey, here's what I went through, and here's how I made things better around me constantly and myself better. And I think that gives you a lot of satisfaction rather than, oh, everything was easy and it was fine. Like, and I could go into a lot of things. Bruce Lee, do not pray for an easy life, pray for the strength to endure a difficult one. But you want to choose and make the things that you are trying to overcome purposeful, well selected things, I would say, because we only have so much time on this earth. So you don't want to get all bogged down in trying to rectify things that are like a time suck to you. So it's just like with that of when I was talking about arma farte, love of fate, how having that mindset of I would not change anything that happened in my life because it made me who I am. And I like who I am. I, Doug Krakow, like who I am. So I look at some of the what I would say were kind of like, what the heck was that type of things that happened in my life. And when I go, gosh, I kind of wish that thing hadn't happened or I'd handled it differently. I can do that, but usually that road leads me, um, maybe like some of the time, not to the best place. Like it's really good. Yeah, it's really good to think about how you're behaving and how you're addressing problems in your life. Like if you find you keep dating girls that it doesn't work with, or you find yourself you keep ending up around people that you shouldn't, or in situations like workplaces, and you're like, gee, I'm the common denominator here. Like, why do I keep ending up in these situations with things in my life that I don't want? Like, maybe like you really do have to kind of analyze your behavior and your choices and like what's bringing me to those points. So sure, like it's like if you do that and you're like, yeah, I had this person in my life that was there like 5 years ago, it ended, and I was allowing them to be in my life for 10 years prior to that. Like, why did that happen? Maybe if I'd done these certain things differently, that would not have happened. Like that's good. And kind of to go, um, not that you're wishing that you hadn't done those things, because you can't change that. You can't change what you did. Hopefully you were doing the best you could at the time. But you can go like, I'm glad that I went through that experience because I needed to. I needed to go through a bad experience like that to really learn and have it kind of beat it, like kind of like really shake me to learn that lesson. And if it hadn't happened that way, if I hadn't gone through that experience, I would not have learned what I needed to learn. And now that I learned that thing, I can be smarter in the future. Okay, so I can apply what I learned from that experience to make my decisions better in the future. I want to give you the single easiest razor to predict my behavior. Whatever will be the most epic story is the thing that I will most likely do. Alex Hormozy. So, Razor, to me, it's like, well, Pascal's wager. Anyways, it's just like a razor is something that you use to kind of make things simple and result at the conclusion that you want to get to as and is kind of a way that makes the most sense and is streamlined and preferably as simple as possible. I mentioned Pascal's wager. I think it might have been Pascal's razor too. Something I'm getting maybe Pascal had a razor too, like a razor of like just a way he would kind of cut the crap and get to like what he needed to do. And I think what was it, Pascal's wager was live a good life, do the right things, and if there's a God, He will be happy with you for living the best life you could and doing the right things. And that's what you want, to meet God, and He is like, you did your best and you did well. But even if there wasn't a God, to live your life that way and for you to be on your last day and look back and say, I lived as best I could and did as many things right as I possibly could, you'd still be happy with your life, and it still would have been a life that made the world better and better for all the other beings that are here. So that was like his razor. It's like, I'm just going to live a good life and do the right things. And it was his razor of, what do I do with my life? Do I live it because, like, is religion, are any of these religions true? Is there a God? Like I said, which one is it? Which one's correct? Like, what God wants me to do? What, like, which one should I follow? It's like, you know what? Let me make it simple. Razor, simple razor, like kind of a razor, I guess, like the physical razor. It just kind of cut. It's simple. It just cuts things, and it's not that complicated. It's like, maybe that's where it comes from. I don't know what the origin is, but not a bad word to describe that concept of just like a simple, efficient thing. No fluff to get things done. And what Hormozy's saying is, so the biggest razor, easiest razor to predict what he's going to do next is whatever will make the most epic story, the thing that I will most likely do. So I like that because it's like I've applied that to my own life, and it's not encouraging risky behavior like, oh, I'm gonna do this crazy thing that's gonna make for this really nuts, epic, adventurous thing that I could tell people, story. But I think you do want a good dose of that in your thought process of like, I want to do things that I'm going to be proud of myself for. And you don't want to get yourself in situations that are definitely beyond you, that it's like you shouldn't have put yourself into such a like overwhelmingly challenging situation that you're not capable of surmounting. But you do want to put yourself in situations where you're on the edge of your capabilities and you're watching yourself. So you're doing this appropriately, right? Like, you're pushing your limits. And different things I got to choose to do that were where I had a choice on the intensity level of what it was going to be. I definitely have, and I continue to seek out opportunities and places where it's going to be something I'm really going to have to apply my best effort at. And, but I know I can do it. So, yeah, you want stories that's building your stack of undeniable proof that it's like, what am I going to choose to do in the future? Something that when I am my future self, I could even just be telling the story to myself. Like I'm thinking back on the memory, like I'm thinking back on I'm thinking about my stack of proof, like my memories and my accomplishments. And I'm like, wow, like I had a decision of I could have taken it easy and just lived a boring period for that upcoming point in my future. But instead, I chose to tackle this big, exciting challenge and adventure. When it feels scary to jump, that is exactly when you must jump. Otherwise, you will end up staying in the same place your whole life. Abel Morales from A Most Violent Year. So that one, like, once you've acquired all the information that you need to make a decision and you're really rock solid, confident that you've looked at all of your options and you've whittled it down and you know what to do, and waiting is not going to help you acquire more data. You know everything you reasonably should know. And it's now time to take action and make a decision and start at whatever you have decided is your next upcoming task, challenge to go after. And that's when you need to jump and go all in on it. Otherwise, you'll staying in the same place your whole life, waiting to take action and analysis of, is this really the right thing? Like, should I just kind of wait and figure out more? And you learn by doing things. Like when you have decided this is something that I should go for, and it's a good thing. It's the best thing I think I've been able to find to try next. You do it, and you're going to learn more by being immersed in that and learning than if you were just standing back not doing anything and waiting to get involved. I don't need to be happy right now, and it's okay if I'm not. I trust myself to take care of myself. I'll be happy later. Doug Krakow. So I don't need to feel happy all the time. And I used to think that I did. Of course, I'm trying to live a life and second by second put myself in situations where I'm going to be effective and thrive. So that would be a place where you would feel probably happy, right? Like I'm surrounded by good people, I'm in a good place, and it's good for people to be happy. Yes. It's like very difficult for you to be good at something you don't like. Well, in totality, like where for the most part you like it. Maybe you don't like all aspects of it, but if you're in situations and around people and doing things that for the most part you've determined this is something that for a good amount of the time, like the right amount of time, I am pretty darn happy to be doing this and in this place, then you're doing good. You know, it's like they say with marriages, where I think people think that everything should be right, like almost all the time, if not 100% of the time in a marriage. Like, you should always be getting along with your partner. You should always agree with things. You should not fight at all. And they found through studies that that's not actually correct. It's something like a ratio of, for every 9 positive interactions you have with your partner, it's good to have, on average, one bad one. Like, not terrible or anything, but like something where you guys had to contend in a healthy way and learn about each other. Like let's we don't agree. Like, let's talk about this. Like, I want this and you want this. Why do you want that? Why do you think this is better? And if you do that in a healthy way, where you both can work through problems together, having that 1 in 10 experience makes your relationship stronger, and it's better for you individually too. And you'll be happier knowing that it's not just this, everything is just boring, easy, like both think alike. It's like I'm dating myself, I'm married to myself. Like, that doesn't actually result in the happiest relationships. So it's pretty good that 90% of the time you're getting along, and it's like you agree on things. But I just like that concept because it's changing the ideal of thinking that your workplace or friends, people you are romantically involved with, that everything should be perfect all the time. And if it's not, I have to scrap the whole thing. Because that's not how very many things are in the world, where it's just like perfect, like always or almost always. And you're not going to be a very effective human being if those are your expectations. And you're not going to be very happy for a variety of reasons if that's your goal, to have just a life where it's like there's no challenges and everything's all set and orderly and fine. And for a variety of reasons that we discussed, why um, that might not make it where you have the life you want, and you feel like you have things to live for and things that rub up against you and challenge you, that give you something purposeful to do in life and grow you and develop you. So, my story, a Japanese legend. If you get on the wrong train, get off at the nearest station. The longer it takes you to get off, the more expensive the return trip will be. And it's not only about trains. So, with that, it does actually tie in pretty nicely with a lot of what we were talking about. With, you have to pick a train to get on, right? And you're doing your best. You're trying to choose the right path in life and do things now that will make later better. So you pick your destination and your vehicle, your train, the modality thing that gets you to where you want to go, and you get on it. And you're like making your way along, you know, the work's being done to get you where you need to go. And if you realize that maybe your life is heading in a direction that you don't want it to go, and maybe this thing isn't good for you, I'm not saying to quit things easily, but it's that thing I was saying earlier about you will have your second by second, this is what I'm doing, and you're kind of immersed in the activity, but regularly take a step back and look at, where am I headed? Is this where I want to go? And if not, watch what you're doing, watch where you're heading. And maybe you do continue on that path. You keep going down the tracks on that train for a little while longer and reassess, like, hey, is this going where I want to go? And if you really keep getting more and more of the feeling that, no, this is not going the right way, get off. Get to a station, at least stop moving along in the wrong direction, and go like, okay, where am I at? Like, is this right for me? Because if you don't, the more expensive the return trip will be. Like, the further you will have gone along, the more time, more money, energy you will have spent. So, I think, like, at least in my life, there was a lot of that where, like, I did it to myself. I don't know if it was from being conditioned to think this way from the people that were around me, but it was the thing of, if you'd already started down a certain path, like you'd already come this far with it, that you should just keep going along. Because look at all the work you did, look at all the time you did, look at, like, everything you've done to get yourself to this point. And Brian Tracy talks about that, how it's like, if you look at what you're doing and you're like, we'll say a movie you're watching, and you're an hour into the movie, and you're like, I really just don't like this movie. Like, I haven't really liked it. 15 minutes in, I was like, hey, this is not quite right. It's a little bit screwy. I'll give it a little more time. And now you're half hour in, and it's still, you're like, yeah, it's getting kind of worse. But there was that one exciting moment a few minutes ago. Maybe they'll be more good. You give things a chance, but like, if you're an hour in and you've been consistently saying to yourself pretty regularly, like, yeah, there's got to be better movies out there than this. Like, so you're an hour in there. Like, you ask yourself, based off, like, if this was my starting point, forget everything that I did the first hour of the movie. Like, I'm not gonna let that hold me down and affect my decision. Like, I'm gonna, like, think about, what was that like, of course, and, like, do I want more of that? But going from here, like, regardless of the time I've spent on this already, do I want to spend more time doing it? And I just like that thing of not letting your past control your future, and feeling guilty, and like you need to just keep doing something that's wrong for yourself. So, that's a powerful concept to think about. And you might think about people that would tell you to keep doing whatever you're doing that you feel is wrong for you. And I think they probably, have hopefully good intentions for, they just don't want to see you quit on something. But you know yourself, and you're the one that's going to have to live with the future situation that you end up in. And you're the one that's going to be living it and thinking about it like constantly when you're there. And they're not going to be thinking about it as much, uh, way less than you would probably think about where you're at. And so understand that. It's just like taking responsibility for yourself and knowing that where you end up, you're going to have to live with the consequences and what the decisions your prior self had made to get you to where you're at, you know? So, all right, I'm trying to keep these things pretty streamlined and pretty concise. I really do like delving into this stuff, and I try to really choose my words carefully. I think that's all I got for episode 4 here, and I will do another one. Thank you for listening here. Goodbye.